Many of the 74 million people who voted for him in 2020 have been turned off.
He's losing support left and right. I hear it everywhere.
Conservative media and Republican politicians have continued their attacks on Donald Trump, this time following the loss by Herschel Walker in the Georgia runoff against Raphael Warnock. So I have several examples here in video form, and it really appears they are trying to change the perception of Trump with the Republican base. But I don't know if it's going to work, especially once Trump really gets going, and there maybe are some debates or commercials out there. But let me show you what they're trying to do. So this, of course, is sparked by all of these losses. These are Trump-backed candidates, people that Trump wanted in these races, all losing. So we have Kari Lake, Lee Zeldin, Leora Levy, Mehmet Oz, Don Bolduc, Tudor Dixon, Adam Laxalt, Kim Crockett, Darren Bailey, Mark Fincham, Blake Masters, Doug Mastriano, Christina Caramo, and Herschel Walker. All lost their races. That doesn't mean that Trump doesn't have the base. I think if you held the primary today, Trump still easily takes it. That said, DeSantis is sort of, right on his heels there. But still, I think once you get going and there is some back and forth between Trump and DeSantis and the public, I don't know. I still think Trump takes it. And look, I'm getting ahead of myself here. We're going to get to a lot of these examples. But this is a situation where Trump simply has the charisma that no one else does. So while DeSantis is trying to be pushed now by a lot of people in conservative press, he simply doesn't have the entertainment value that Trump does. And I think that's really what has kept Trump in the headlines and in the race and in people's minds, because he's able to attach to people or attach himself to supporters in a way that someone like DeSantis or any other politician isn't able to do. But following the major losses in the midterms, I did this video shortly after Fox News turns on Trump following midterm stunner. So there are more examples of conservative media attacking Trump here. I'll link to this video below this in the description box in case you missed that. But a few days after the midterms, here are some new examples now of attacks on Trump. Stuart Varney, Trump is dragging the Republican Party. This is going to play an ad. Hold on. Okay, it's muted, thank God. These freaking websites. Stuart Varney, Trump is dragging the Republican Party into the mud again. So that was, again, a few days after the midterms. Stuart Varney really hates Trump. So he was chomping at the bit. This is the day before the results in Georgia. So Herschel Walker had not lost yet. And already Stuart Varney setting the stage for these continued attacks on Donald Trump with this full segment attacking him.
For 2 years, politics in Georgia has been all about Donald Trump. And so it is today, when Democrat Raphael Warnock goes up against Trump's hand-picked candidate, Herschel Walker. There's a lot at stake here. It's more than just the balance of power in the Senate. It's about the state of the Republican Party and Trump's role in it. He seems to be losing what used to be his iron grip on the GOP. He still has a hard core of supporters who will follow him regardless. But many of the 74 million people who voted for him in 2020 have been turned off. Right after that election, the 2020 deal, he ranted against Georgia's Republican governor, Brian Kemp, because he wouldn't fix the vote in Trump's favor. Kemp went on to trounce Donald Trump's guy in the gubernatorial primary. In the midterms, Trump-backed candidates lost vital races. Dr. Oz in Pennsylvania, Don Bolduc in New Hampshire, Tudor Dixon in Michigan, Doug Mastriano in Pennsylvania, Kari Lake in Arizona. And right before today's election, he was talking about terminating parts of the Constitution. That plays right into the Democrats' hands. He's trying to walk it back today, but the damage has been done. A win by Raphael Warnock would cement the Democrats' control of the Senate, making it much easier for them to confirm judges and other top officials. If Walker wins, Trump will take all the credit, guaranteed. If Walker loses, Trump will blame Walker for not inviting Trump into the state. Here's a warning from the Wall Street Journal editorial board, no less. If the Republicans make Trump their candidate in 2024, he won't terminate any part of the Constitution. Quotes, what he's really terminating is the GOP.
Damn, Varney. Tell me how you really feel. That was a full segment, a full attack on Donald Trump, did not hold back at all. This wasn't like the usual attacks you see where it's in passing. His name is mentioned once. This was an entire segment dedicated to showcasing how much Trump sucks, with including this image that actually has more names than I included on mine. So look at how they just Trump back candidate losses. There is no pretense here. This is full on attack. So Varney, I think, is doing it, from what I have seen, the clearest out of all of them in terms of hosts on Fox News. No one else is attacking Trump this obviously, but I will get to some other examples, including from their website here. So on Fox News, December 7th here, after the loss, Karl Rove fumes that Trump lost Georgia Senate race for the GOP. We got our clock cleaned. Karl Rove breaks down what went wrong with Republicans' loss in Georgia that shouldn't have been. So this is a Fox News piece, not even an opinion piece. It's just a Fox News piece talking about how Karl Rove is blaming Trump for this. And then you also have this opinion piece here from Fox, also Fox News. Herschel Walker just wrote Donald Trump's political obituary. So again, a full-on clear attack on Trump. I think it's pretty clear what they are trying to do here. Again, I don't know if it's going to be successful. Also keeping in mind, Fox is not the only place that conservatives go. And in terms of actual, diehard Trump supporters, they've already moved on from Fox News. But this gives you an idea of what at least the largest voice in the room is trying to do here by pushing down Fox's or Trump's popularity. But there's also this moment here, right after Warnock was announced to be the winner. Here is Kellyanne Conway and Laura Ingraham.
Of candidates this time, he was out there working hard, but we need to not just compete for votes, for ballots. We need to compete for ballots. If we don't bank ballots early, we're going to keep losing.
But we didn't.
But we didn't.
But we didn't do it in 2020 because everyone said don't vote early because that's corrupt.
Not everyone.
Well,
Yes,
a lot of people did at the
did.
very top of the Republican Party.
Yes,
You didn't.
People did.
But Molly,
And
Mitch McConnell did give $11 million.
A lot of people at the top of the party said don't vote early. This is Trump. This is all on Trump. This was Trump's idea to try and basically use that as a way to claim that the election somehow was rigged because of early voting. So it was all a plan ahead of time for him to discredit early voting. But that's an obvious, as Aaron Rupar here writes, shade on Trump here. You also have this. So Kellyanne was also on Fox Business here with Larry Kudlow, both former Trump administration officials, both Kudlow and Kellyanne. So let me play their segment here attacking Trump.
There's constructive things I want to talk about, but I want to clear the air. I want to get this out of here. I don't understand what our former boss is doing. I love the guy, but I do not understand Kanye West hanging out with white nationalists, hanging out with anti-Semitic people, talking about ending the Constitution or postponing the Constitution. I don't get it. I don't know why he's saying it. And if he says it, why hasn't he given, apologized for it or corrected the record or something? Because he's losing support left and right. I hear it everywhere.
Look, for me, this one's easy. There's no place for a seat at the table, let alone in a polite American discourse, for the kind of white supremacy that this Nick Fuentes person who, like the president, I didn't know anything about him before either, but it took me about 10 seconds to figure him out once I needed to research him. And I'm very concerned that there isn't a system in place where the president isn't buttonholed into sitting across the table at Mar-a-Lago, where you and I have been many times, having dinner with him, Larry. A system in place where folks are vetted and then seated, and there are no surprises at the last moment because your guest is bringing another guest.
There you have Kellyanne Conway and Larry Kudlow pretending that they don't know who Trump is as a person. This is not new for him in terms of this dinner with Kanye West and these people around him. Trump, good people on both sides, talking about Charlottesville. So I don't, this is not new information. The idea that Trump doesn't disown those individuals or whatever, it's all just bullshit. But point being here, they're attacking him still, and they're trying all different angles. This one definitely is not going to work, considering the base is largely with Kanye West and Nick Fuentes on that. But going to politicians now. This isn't new, but they did have a reason to attack Trump again here. So Mitt Romney, who of course has been a Trump critic, he is able to be because he is in Utah. They don't really care for Trump there. It is an interesting red state in that sense. But here is his quick criticism of Donald Trump.
President Trump lost again, and I know a lot of people in our party love the president, former president, but he's, if you will, the kiss of death for somebody who wants to win a general election. And at some point, we've got to move on.
Yeah, so not new there, but it does give more fuel to people like Mitt Romney. Also, John Thune. Here is John Thune, of course, another Republican talking to CNN here after this loss in Georgia.
Well, look, I've been talking to Republicans all morning long, and there is a lot of blame game, a lot of anger, a lot of soul searching about what happened, and in large part also directed at Donald Trump. Was Donald Trump a problem this year?
Well, I mean, he was very active, of course, in the primaries, and and then even in the general election, because he was a presence out there. I think in an election year when it should have been a referendum on the current administration, their policies, the Democrats in many cases were able to kind of turn it into a choice election because of Trump's presence out there. So, was he a factor? I don't think there's any question about that, because a lot of the candidates that had problems in these elections were running on the 2020 election being stolen. And I don't think independent voters were having it.
So while members of the party are also attacking Donald Trump, don't get it twisted. This, like John Thune speaking to CNN, these comments here, their impact on the Republican base is less than zero. So while there's an attempt here to try and, create this narrative, which I think is largely accurate, that Trump is not good for candidates in a general election, I don't really think it's going to do much to how the base feels about Trump, at least largely. But things can change. Maybe DeSantis will develop some charisma. Don't count on it. Or maybe Trump will face some repercussions for all the laws that he's broken. But one last thing here that I just found hilarious. This is put together by Matthew Gertz from Media Matters here. So this is, let me just play the video. This is pretty good.
Herschel Walker for Senate. I like the ring of that. Will you help me draft Herschel Walker to run for Senate down in Georgia? Because I happen to be very fond of him. Herschel, I'm kind of hoping you might consider running for high office in Georgia. Do we want him to run for governor or for senator? Do I hear Georgia's on your mind? Now, the crop of 2022 Republican candidates just got a lot stronger tonight as football legend Herschel Walker announced that he's jumping into the Georgia GOP Senate primary. Herschel's enthusiasm in the state of Georgia seems to be through the roof. People of Georgia, it's in your hands. Your country needs you. Game time in Georgia. Herschel Walker, Lindsey Graham are live in Georgia.
This man will change the Republican Party.
TeamHerschel.com. 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 Team Herschel.
Help Herschel.
Team Herschel.
TeamHerschel.com. TeamHerschel.com. TeamHerschel.com.
TeamHerschel.com. TeamHerschel.com. TeamHerschel.com.
You've never lost an overtime game in your life, have you? Hopefully soon to be senator-elect. I believe you win hands down. Herschel Walker, congratulations.
There you go. So while Trump, yes, deserves, blame, of course, so does Sean Hannity. I mean, this guy, at least from this video, it's like he single-handedly picked Herschel Walker out to run in this race. And in terms of, Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz here, as much as I despise these individuals, they were maybe the only ones trying to save this race. So they're in there trying to put up Herschel Walker or push him to win and get donations and that kind of thing. Not many other senators were willing to go into Georgia and back Herschel Walker. But man, I don't know. Look, these attacks on Trump from the right, from media, I think have continued longer than a lot of people suspected initially, because usually when this kind of thing happens, they'll attack Trump a couple of times, the base rejects it, and they have to go back to serving their base because they want, eyeballs on their content. But this has been a sustained effort here to try and draft a narrative or change the narrative around Donald Trump. But I don't know. It really will take all right-wing media jumping on board with this. Not, again, Fox News is just one of them. You also have places like Newsmax, America's Voice, other random places like Daily Wire. So, they all have to be on board with this. And even if that happens, still, because of Trump's charisma, he's essentially I've said this many times, a right-wing comedian. So DeSantis and no one else really has that charisma that Trump does. I don't know if anyone will be able to take him down unless the legal system does.